Let's begin by queering up gay culture. Happening Out Television Network celebrates National Coming Out Day. Today is National Coming Out Day, a day meant to help create an environment where living openly and honestly is possible. Conceived by psychologist Richard Eicherg and activist Jean O'Leary on October 11, 1988, the idea for the day was the culmination of 4 months of momentum where more than 100 activists were gathered in Manassas, Virginia, near Washington, D.C. Coming out can be a difficult time for many in the LGBTQ+ community. Advocates say, and many organizations offer counseling and support. The term coming out is abbreviated from the commonly used phrase coming out of the closet, a metaphor used to describe the process of an LGBTQ+ person revealing their identity to the people around them. While the term sounds like it refers to a single moment in time, being out can mean something different for everyone and often includes a longer process of accepting one's own identity before sharing within a chosen group of people and the world at large. National Coming Out Day exists not only to encourage and support people in sharing their authentic selves within the world, but also brings awareness to the experiences and challenges members of the LGBTQ+ community face when deciding how and when to disclose who they are. Recently, Todrick Hall joined us for a special interview where he discussed his coming out. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for that part of the interview. National Coming Out Day for a while, I would say maybe for a decade, early 2000s, for a good decade, I don't think I really thought National Coming Out Day was much more than just some signpost on the calendar. And the older I've got, I'm definitely the oldest person at the table.
No one's arguing.
Exactly. You don't argue fact. But the issue of coming out is something that was really important in my age group because you couldn't. And being in high school in the 70s, then in college in the 80s, I was president of my college fraternity, a big college fraternity at the University of Central Florida, and you just could not be out. You couldn't be in a college fraternity. And today, I watch 16-year-olds twirl their identity in every possible way on their finger. Coming out may not be a big issue today. I'm not quite sure, but it is a moment on the calendar that is confusing to my age group because it was so painful. It was so difficult. And today it seems like so much of that has washed away. And so it draws attention for the oldest members of our LGBTQ community, certainly of how important it was, but also how difficult it was. And that's what I think about when I think about National Coming Out Day.
But it's changed, right? It's not that it's gotten better or worse or whatever. It's definitely changed. Just like, the process of being gay or the identities that we live has changed. And that's the friction between the older gays and the younger gays. Mm-hmm. Do you really appreciate your history? Do you really understand what it is? I think National Coming Out Day is still very much important to the younger folks who are coming out. They've just changed what it is. They get coming out party boxes and I never got a party box.
Yeah.
I never got flags and lotions and
I got
whatever
a sermon, I think. My parents actually, they were praying for me.
I got a toaster oven.
Yeah. You're not a lesbian.
No, but I will say that I think we need to be conscious of the blue bubble that we're in, even though we're in Florida. There are a lot of schools here in Florida, but also around the country, rural Nebraska and BFE, Kansas, and all those places. They're not necessarily getting Pride coming out boxes for it. But I also think that Coming Out Day needs to evolve. It was important, and you didn't really necessarily recognize it for the first 10 years, but it was important and it grew. But I think now we need to use it. We can't have something like a questioning kid go, "Oh, I missed National Coming Out Day. Okay, well, good. Now I have another year." Like, they can mentally put it off. I think we need to, it needs to be a day where, Google, their front page, posts resources where schools or local places, Queer List Official or Miami Gay List puts coming out resources available? Because I think that's what we need to grow this day into.
I can remember actually coming out myself and really struggling with some of that anxiety of what it felt like to watch this day really kind of show up on the calendar, and really work to not only embrace that for myself, but also be able to speak that out openly within my community as a member of my respective community. And I watch some of the kids that are going through that right now, and I feel like their voice is still being tempered, so they're still working through their own stuff that they have currently, especially with today's climate that they're dealing with, both in the schools and within the respective communities.
You know, one last point before we move to John. We teased this interview that we've done with Todrick Hall. Todrick Hall has had quite a career. RuPaul, Broadway, singing career straight out of Oz is one of my favorite albums. His music videos for that are spectacular. American Idol, Celebrity Big Brother, he's second. The Masked Singer, he's second. When I talked to him about American Idol, I talked about Simon Cowell, which I thought was interesting. But I caught Todrick by surprise by saying, you know, I watched you in 2010 when you were on American Idol, 13 years before. He was 25 years old when he was on American Idol, 25. And he's been asked about American Idol 10,000 times, so he's not surprised by my question. But my question was, you know, I very vividly remember watching you in the 10th season of American Idol, and I just felt you were gay, and you never said anything. Mm-hmm. It caught him completely by surprise. He stumbled, finally gets his bearings, and then starts to talk about it. And I could hear the angst in his voice about why he didn't identify. And he didn't identify and clearly explained, I was totally in fear. I chose the career over my boyfriend at the time while I was wearing a white necklace to remind me I'm with him, but I can never mention him. He was not allowed at audition. He wasn't allowed to come to the show. He was not allowed to identify because he was so scared that somebody would push him out as being queer. And all of these years later, 38 now, he says, ugh, such regret that I didn't take that moment and had that platform opportunity, and then makes recommendations as my follow-up about what he would say to 14, 15, 16-year-olds now. And then he surprised me by saying, don't push them too hard. Mm-hmm. And made exactly your points. It's time when it's time, and the only person that can make that decision is that person. I encourage you to watch his words about National Coming Out Day. They were quite surprising.
Working with the youth, if I may, working with the youth in the Broward County area through a couple of nonprofits, watching them really stumble to kind of grab their voice in the confines of a very safe space as far as a group process or group therapeutic experience. They still are to some degree trying to at least whitewash themselves so as not to be ridiculed, judged, ostracized, or treated differently, even within a very safe space. So when Todrick was actually talking about this, I see it. I kind of see that happening on a day-to-day basis with the youth today. And it's interesting to see how over time that just continues to happen.
Yeah.